What's up, sports bettors? We cashed this three-leg parlay yesterday, NBA, NHL player props. So guess what? We have two NBA games today, a ton of NHL. I'm going to be running it back. So three sharp player props on Underdog Fantasy. Okay? And all of our picks are going to be based in data, right? We're going to be using market information, real-time odds to zone in on sharp bets. So the first pick I went with, which you can see is going to be in the Bruins-Rangers game, and the player shots on goal market is right here. I'm taking Brad Marchand under 3.5 shots on goal on Underdog Fantasy. So I'm taking him under 3.5 shots on goal at minus 122 implied odds on Underdog Fantasy. And what you're going to notice is all of the sports books have this line juiced from minus 136 to minus 175. So all of the sports books you can see kind of across the market have the under as the heavy favorite, right? DraftKings has the under 3.5 shots on goal at minus 150. FanDuel has it minus 140, so they're less aggressive or bullish on the under than DraftKings, but they still have the under favored, right? Minus 140. Pinnacle, which is the sharpest bookmaker in the world. It's the most efficient betting market. They take the highest volume of bets. They're pricing the under 3.5 shots on goal at minus 168. So they have the under even more favored than DraftKings. So this is why sports betting is so fascinating, right? All of these bookmakers have different odds. So some sports books like Caesars, they're a little less aggressive than Pinnacle on the under 3.5 shots on goal for Brad Marchand, right? But if we take kind of, an average view of the market, it seems like the sports books in general have it roughly minus 150. There's slight variations across the entire market. BWin has it minus 160, Caesars minus 137. But clearly, looking at all of the market data, it's very clear that the under should be favored, under 3.5 shots on goal. So we're getting this player prop at minus 122. Minus 122 implied odds on Underdog Fantasy, which is why we want to be on this play. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous value, so I ended up betting it. This is the top positive EV bet currently available on OddsJam, 2.85% profit margin. So again, if you're confused where this number comes from, like why is Underdog Fantasy minus 137, why is it minus 122, we can kind of go through that briefly. So essentially on Underdog Fantasy, any two-leg parlay you create, any two picks, right? You can switch this to an under, this to an over, 1 to win 3. We can change this, it's still 1 to win 3. We can change this, still 1 to win 3. So any two-leg parlay on Underdog Fantasy is betting $1 to win 3. So that's implied juice of minus 137, which you're going to see right here, right? If you're betting $1 to win 3, any two-leg parlay on Underdog Fantasy is betting $1 to win 3, then the implied odds is minus 137. Now, if you play a 3-pick entry on Underdog, what you're going to see is you're betting 1 to win 6. Again, any 3 picks you select, you're betting 1 to win 6. So the implied odds are minus 122. So it's actually more advantageous to play 3-pick entries on Underdog Fantasy because you're getting better implied odds, which is why you'll notice all of the props we're playing for the most part are going to be 3-pick entries. 3-pick or 5-pick entries. Right? So you'll see it all throughout, right? 3 picks, 3 picks, 3 picks. You'll see 3-pick and 5-pick entries basically only on my Underdog Fantasy account. So the first pick I ended up going with is again going to be right here. Marchand under 3.5 shots on goal. Pure value play. As a sharp bettor, I don't put my finger to the wind to determine what I'm betting that night. I look for bets with an edge that are based in math, based in logic, based in real-time odds, and then I hunt for 3 of them on Underdog Fantasy. So the first one that looks really good, again, is going to be Brad Marchand under 3.5 shots on goal. All the sportsbooks have the under heavily juiced. Granted, there's some discrepancies from sportsbook to sportsbook, but it's clear the weighted average, especially given Pinnacle and Bet Online, two very sharp offshore sportsbooks, are pricing this at minus 154 and minus 168 respectively. You have to want to play this minus 122. Sports betting is all about finding value. Just like a savvy investor, right? You're looking for stocks that are too cheap. You're looking for bets that are mispriced, where you're getting too much value, right? And what makes it so easy in sports betting to find value is all these bookmakers price things independently, so we can ruthlessly compare, sportsbook odds to those on these fantasy sites like Underdog to find profitable bets. And it doesn't just go for Underdog Fantasy, right? Like you can see here, first half total points, I have over 24 in Packers Lions. I actually have that in a parlay, which you can see right here. So Caesar Sportsbook, here the value was in soccer. I have 2.5K on under 4.5 goals in Man City Brentford. I have the Vikings -3, early value in NFL point spreads. College football play, right? I follow the value. Spanish La Liga first half total goals, -190, $4,000. Mallorca versus Atletico Madrid. So again, I'm following the value. I'm looking for bets with an edge. So here we can see the Packers bet I ended up going with right here. Over 24 points, plus 100. Let me get it. So here, right, we have Anders Lee. We're getting minus 122 implied odds. So when you're playing on Underdog Fantasy, you should always assume in a 3-pick entry that you're betting at minus 122 odds. So all of these picks I played yesterday, I like that minus 122 implied odds. So you don't want to play them again in a 2-pick entry because you're getting worse odds. But in a 3-pick entry, you're getting pretty great value being able to get Lee under 2.5 shots on goal. We definitely want to play this minus 122. Pinnacle has this minus 153, Bet Online minus 145, DraftKings. So kind of, if you look at all the sports books, they all have the under heavily favored from minus 140 to minus 155. So maybe an average of like minus 150, minus 145 on the sports books. We're getting it minus 122. Seems like pretty dang good value, right? So essentially we have 5 bookmakers, independent data points, all telling us, hey, this line should be set at roughly minus 150. We're getting it minus 122. So we have really high confidence just looking at this market data on other sports books that we're getting a lot of value at minus 122. So the next pick I ended up going with is Jokic over 12.5 rebounds. So 3 picks, 250 to win 1.5K. I ride with you on all these props. They're all sharp, data-driven, mathematically profitable, all positive EV. Let's make some money.